Today we are at Oxford's Magdalen College. This is where some of the most gargoyles and grotesques are in the city of Oxford. So they are these decorative sculptures that you can see on many of the buildings because Oxford was largely built during the medieval period, and I have just been really into gargoyles and grotesques lately, so I'm gonna make a poster about them. There's a really good book on the Internet Archive called Oxford's Gargoyles and Grotesques. Check it out, it's free. Love Internet Archive. Gargoyles are disguises for drainage pipes, and that's where the word comes from. So gargle is an onomatopoeia, and ghoul is from the French word for creature, so that comes together to be the gargoyles. And then the grotesques are just decorative pieces, and they help to protect different buildings, and they tell stories of the Bible through these like demons or people. But this is not only a medieval practice, like people have been making gargoyles in contemporary times, and actually right now over at New College, which is another college with lots of gargoyles, they are fundraising to install some new ones that are themed around biodiversity. And also in the 20th century there are tons of gargoyles that were created and sculpted and made around different stories and different people. So for example, there's one of a pastor and his dog, and that was from the mid 20th century. So if you look around, there are lots of stories that are being told through the gargoyles in contemporary years as well. But yeah, so I'm gonna make a poster about these, and I decided to do it for an architectural conference about medieval times because yeah, this has just been my little like fixation lately. So we are gonna go into Blender now and start making the actual gargoyles. For the models, we are going to be using depth maps. So I'm gonna be finding like images of gargoyles online and uploading that into a depth map generator, which I'll link down below. But first I turn them into PNGs with a transparent background. That way the height of things in the background would just be flattened out for me, so it'd be like easier to work with. I just uploaded them, and then I downloaded the black and white depth map, and this is what it looks like. So you just save the black and white version. And now we're going to be importing a plane and subdividing that a little bit. And then after we've subdivided and added a subdivision modifier, I'm going to be using a displacement modifier. So you just open up the displacement modifier and you import the image of your gargoyle depth map, and then it's going to like raise up all of the high parts of the depth map and lower all the lower parts, and it looks really, really good. Like this is a really good technique. So this is a great way to turn a two-dimensional image into a three-dimensional object. And then after I did that, I like played around with the settings a little bit, subdivided it some more so it'd be smoothed out, and then I added a smooth corrective modifier and make sure to tick on only smooth, and then it'll like smooth it out. And sometimes this blurs some of the details, so you can like lower that a bit and just kind of play around with those three modifiers and seeing what works best with that. So the vision that I had in mind was to take the faces and stick them onto a sphere. So what I did was I added in a lattice, and then I divided that a bit and I made it just like flat. So it's no longer a square, now it's more like a lattice if it was a plane. And then parenting that to the object or like the gargoyle face with the lattice like deformed parent basically. Then what I did was I added in a sphere and I shrink wrapped the lattice to the sphere. The reason I do this instead of shrink wrapping the object to the sphere is because if you do that, then it just flattens out. But if you shrink wrap the lattice, then the object stays like raised. And so when I was doing this, I had to like scale up the object, move it around a bit, like try different things to kind of like stick it into the sphere some more. So this whole process that you're about to see was just like experimenting with a ton of things and seeing like what works basically. And then after that, I added on all of the other faces, and you'll see I switched it around because I just had to like rearrange some things. So I was just doing a ton of like rearranging, seeing what worked, seeing like how I could fit stuff together and how I could make it look good from this like one specific angle, which is why it is not moving or anything, because the back of it, this is rough. And the topology, don't ask me questions about the topology. okay? We're not going to talk about the topology. But yeah, I'm just messing around and trying to make something that kind of blends these different shapes and like faces together and make the edges like as seamless as possible. Once I kind of stuck everything together, that is when I went in with the sculpting tool and I just like sculpted and smoothed different shapes. And I don't usually sculpt stuff, so I was like kind of fighting for my life a little bit, like remembering what like tools did what. But yeah, I just wanted to enhance some of the features that got like faded away with the smoothing. And the thing about these objects is that a lot of them have this weird like rippling like roughness to them. So I would just go in and smooth like large parts of it just to take away that rippling effect, and then go in and further like draw in to enhance like the smile lines, like the eyes, like the whisker points on the line and things like that, just so that it would actually be like more defined, especially after I put the texture on. Now the texture is just a procedural like plaster texture. I'll link it down below, the tutorial that I followed, but like I literally just followed this tutorial like to a T because I wanted it to resemble like these actual carvings, right? And in Oxford, they use what's called Bath stone, which is just like stone that came from Bath, and it's this light yellow color, so that's why I used this yellow color, but I didn't want to like go all in on it because I don't really like the yellow. Like I just wanted it to be kind of accurate. And the reason I did this weird sphere thing in this like black sort of floating space is because, first of all, I love a black floating space. That is one thing you can't take away from me. A 3D model in a black floating space, I'm gonna be there and I'm gonna be rendering it every single time, okay? Second of all, I just like had this vision in my mind. Like, I don't know, I just saw like some grotesques when I was on vacation, and then I was like, oh, like, this is cool. What if I made them all like stuck together in like a sphere? So that was the reasoning. Now for the actual poster itself, I designed this in Photoshop, which I don't usually do. Normally Photoshop does kind of annoy me. I usually just have an Illustrator, but I thought I was feeling like there's like a certain type of person that uses Photoshop, and like I'm trying to be that person, like trying to become like kind of a Photoshop type individual. But yeah, so I just took some copy from an actual architectural conference that's happening in Oxford and just stuck that on there, added some fake dates, because it's all like fake, it's just like a thought that I had would be cool. But if anyone wants to buy the design off me, hey Oxford University, like I'm here. My email is hello@joseharrison.com. But yeah, so then I just added in this black letter typeface. At first I was loving the sans serif, loving like the Helvetica Arial, but I was like, girl, we gotta push a little bit, like we can't just be doing that, okay? And I just had this black letter like in my computer installed already, and I looked at some other ones, but there was something about this one that was subtle that I appreciated. It doesn't feel like it's a super in-your-face medieval black letter. Which I liked, and I liked it in the all caps, and I felt like it was not as like on the nose as something a bit more traditional, considering it's about medieval architecture. And I really wanted to incorporate like playing around with opacity, and in that case I just used gray, but originally I was thinking like, what if I layered the text on top of the shapes, but there was some opacity like happening, differing things. But yeah, after that I just added in the Oxford logo, because you've always gotta add a logo once and then make it look a little bit more official, right? Okay, again, like if anyone from Oxford like legally like is not like enjoying this, wants to come for me like legally, that is not something that I'm equipped to take on, so don't sue me. Yeah, but anyways, this was really fun. I'm going to show you guys the final outcome now. Thank you for watching, and please like and subscribe. And tell me if there's anything else you want to see. I like doing little one-off posters and things. I think it's really fun. So yeah.